Today's guest doesn't sugarcoat it. She lived through 15 years of trauma, raised three dysregulated kids, and realized she was part of the problem. Now she's flipping the script and helping others stop surviving and start owning their power. My guest today is a fire starter in the best way. Angela Spooner is the founder of Real Raw Relationships LLC, host of Real and Raw Relationships Unfiltered, and a no BS coach, helping people get radically honest about their relationships with others and with themselves. She's lived through 15 years of trauma as a single mom of three, and when she realized she was contributing to the chaos, she didn't collapse, she took control and built a life, a mission, and a business that now helps others do the same. Angela, welcome to Attention is the Currency. So great to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, it's yeah. Well, we've been looking forward to it because we've been reading all through your content, and we know a bit about Angela. She's been on quite a few episodes of other podcasts, and we'll get straight into it to find out more about Angela and the real information from the start. So you've been through it, 15 years of single motherhood, trauma, and raising dysregulated kids. What was it life like back then?
Hell. If you could imagine the worst case scenario of every single thing that you've ever been worried about in your life, that was my life. Literally, my first therapist told me I had to stop telling her about my trauma and what was going on in my life because it was giving her anxiety. She actually had to be admitted to the hospital because my life was giving her too much anxiety. That's what it was like. I have pictures, videos of I had to take my daughter, 8 years old, to a behavioral health facility to stay. My son at 5 years old was on antipsychotics. That is the picture. My daughter I had to call the cops. I called it, so I had to use humor, right? To cope. So I would call it the feng shui method, right? Because she would throw everything in my house around, and then the cops would come and we would talk about they're like, oh my God, did she create this? I'm like, no, I'm just a hoarder. What are you talking about? And then they thought I was serious, and then they're like, oh, she thinks she's funny. Yes, I do. So that was basically what it was like, is just complete and utter chaos. My son getting suspended every single week, me ruining every single relationship in my life, whether it was friendships, whether it was romantic relationships. Always my favorite thing was, they have this problem. This person has this problem. They don't listen enough. They aren't smart enough to get me. They aren't strong enough to understand that I'm a strong, confident woman. That was my mentality back then.
Yeah, no, it was. Yeah, it's definitely full destruction.
Yeah. It's like every single time something was starting to go right, it was like caving in, from dating a drug dealer to dating or to marrying a man that got abusive the day after we got married while I was pregnant, and then leaving him, going back to school. It was just utter chaos. Right once I graduated nursing school, I had to deal with DCS because he didn't like me being happy. So he made up all these lies about me. So all my savings had to go to 2 different lawyers to fight him in court. 35 grand later, get my kids back. And then it was even more chaos. It's, oh my God, it's a happy ending. She gets her kids back. No, my son was hitting me, kicking me, calling me all the names in all the world, right? So that's what it was like, is basically getting bullied on a consistent basis. Bullied, abused from your own kids, belittled, degraded, feeling like you are worthless, essentially.
Well, I feel like there's got to be some people out there that, I'm not sure if they'll have quite a similar story, but they'll probably hit a point of something similar or not quite as bad. But what was the moment, the breaking point or the breakthrough, when you realized you had to face your own reflection and actually change these things?
Well, it's funny that you say the reflection, because when I first started my podcast, it was Who the Fuck is in the Mirror? And my inspiration was Mulan.
Yeah.
that just kept coming at, when she's singing in the mirror and she's like, who's that girl I see? Yeah, that was me.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I literally was there. And so it was a couple years ago, and I had just gotten super hammered, dumb girl, psychopath drunk, going over to my ex's at 1:00 in the morning, leaving all his stuff at his door just because I didn't like him having a boundary. And I was like, I was crying my eyes out. And I remember driving home only vaguely. I don't even remember getting home. I woke up the next morning and I just remember feeling like, what am I doing with my life? What is going on? I'm a smart girl that is just literally doing nothing with my life. And it's nothing against anyone else, but like, I was a saloon girl at 35 years old. And I was like, why am I doing this? And it was then that I realized that I needed to start working on myself. And then that's when I started doing all these different programs. Now they have all these programs out there that are like woo woo and like, oh, just talk about your feelings and just do this and just accept your path moving forward. And I was like, this is all bullshit. This is all BS. There's nothing genuine. And it was then that I decided to embark on my own journey and start ripping away the layers of my life. And I'm talking, listen, Daniel, I'm talking about ugly girl crying on the counter, on the floor, in the kitchen, by yourself, and you're just crying. And then your kids come in there and they're like, Mom, why are you crying? And I'm like, I'm feeling feelings. And I had suppressed my feelings for so many years because I was so scared of seeing them. And that's when it hit me that was the issue and I was the problem. And it helped too that my daughter, she also told me around that same time, she was being such a little bitch, to be honest, Daniel. And she was
Yeah.
like just talking smack to me, making fun of me. And I looked at her, I said, why are you so mean? And she was like, I learned it from you. And I was like, oh, I have never in all my years. But also, yes, you did learn it from me. And so we get to sit there, right? And we're like, oh my God, I can't believe my daughter said that, right? And I could have played the victim,
Yeah.
but that obviously wasn't working, right? Because I played the victim for so many years and I lost everybody because I was always the victim. Always.
So it was, yeah. So really, it was a complete accountability for everything and a full reflection.
Exactly.
It really, yeah. We've had a couple guests on the show that it's always about that accountability, that point, and I think that's a really strong thing that when we realize that we're responsible for ourselves, that's when things start to move forward. And
Yeah.
it's so when they stopped blaming. Yeah. So you built a business around it, and you built a business around calling out the lies. What are some of the most common lies we do tell ourselves in these relationships and in this life?
Everybody else is the problem.
Yeah.
Everybody else is the problem. And then you sit there and you get to play the victim. Because when you're in the victim mindset and everybody else is the problem, then you don't have to sit with the fact that you don't know what the hell you're doing. Then you have to sit with the fact that you're insecure, that you are feeling abandoned, right? We want to sit there and we downplay. We say, I'm fine. We say, I can't tell you how many times, Daniel, I have had people come up to me and be like, I really want your program, but you know what? I haven't been through all the stuff that you've been through. And I was like, that is your first problem, is that you're still gaslighting yourself. You are gaslighting yourself. And that is what we do. We gaslight ourselves. We say that we're fine when we're not. We act like we're the cruisy people because we're so strong, right? But really, we're so incredibly afraid. We fear the unknown. We fear the potential of the worst case scenario in our mind. And the more times that we experience, and I've experienced it all, right? Like literally, I had one of my therapists, I'm on my fourth one right now, actually. But
They should give you
yeah,
a punch card. When you
Yeah,
hit when you
like,
hit
that's what I
five, the
said.
sixth one should be free.
I asked him, I was like, when do I get to be the VIP? Like, don't
Yeah,
I get like benefits or something at a point? Come on. Shouldn't I be teaching other people now? No, I'm just kidding. But
yeah,
anyways, but you get in this idea, and my therapist, she was like, I never believed you because people always sit there and say, oh my gosh, you don't understand. Everything bad happens to me. And she was like, I thought you were being over dramatic. But literally everything bad happens to you. Like
yeah,
I had called DCS on my ex-husband, and then it got flipped and my kids were taken from me, and I had to prove who I was
yeah,
when it shouldn't have had to be the case. And she was like, the worst case scenario happens to you on a consistent basis. But the problem is that they're not worst case scenarios. It's never a worst case scenario. In fact, all of the experiences that we experiences are just experiences.
yeah.
But we sit there and we play the victim and we say we're fine. And we say that everybody else is a problem. And we say that we're cruising. And we say that we're warriors when really we're just scared shitless.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to reword a little bit of this next question that I had for you because I'm actually processing a lot, and because I'm thinking of clients that are sort of because they in that pattern that you're talking about. They're constantly in that cycle pattern. They keep coming back to that stage that they're in that survival mode, and I know that I've always tried to get them out of that. And you say something, you try to break their thought pattern, but they just keep cycling back to that victim mode, and then you talk to them again in a week, you've said to them you're going to do this, but they're back to it. They're back to it. So what do you say to someone that's stuck in that victim mode? How do you break that pattern for them?
The first thing right there is trying to tell them to do anything. I'm not their
Yeah.
fucking mom. I'm not in charge of them. So when I'm talking to somebody and they sit there and they say, well, I don't agree with that. And I say, well, then why did you join my program? That's why I'm very strict on who comes into my world, because of the fact that I am very, very direct. I will sit there. I will let you cry about it. But I will call you out again and again. And I will sit there and I will ask the question back to you. So when somebody's sitting there and saying, well, he did X, Y, and Z, my first question I ask them every single time is, why are you still talking about someone else? Because the moment that you even mention somebody else, whether it's excusing your behavior or excusing their behavior or trying to understand, reason, whatever the hell you want to call it, the first problem is, why are they the thing you're talking about? Why is it so hard for me to ask you a question and you to answer it directly, looking at yourself without anybody else? And that's what I tell them every single time. Take everybody out of that equation. And I want you to say the same thing, but just talking about yourself and your accountability and what your job is.
I think anyone listening to this or watching it, if they take nothing else out of this interview, that is the gold right there, to just focus on yourself and taking everything out, because it's really breaking the difference between supporting and enabling, which was the next thing in there, because you're no longer enabling them, you're now supporting them in that transition into the better life. Really.
Well, and the problem is that what we want is the quick fix, and we want everyone else to validate us. Tell me I'm doing good. Tell me my outfit looks good. Tell me I have a good boyfriend, or I have a good relationship, or I'm doing good as a mom. We can't validate ourselves. And then we wonder why our relationships suck, why our business life is shit, why we're always so burned out that we can't even enjoy anything. And then we sit there and we blame everything else. And the problem is that the reason why I created my business is because whether it's a relationship with your significant other, your kids, your parents, your nana, your tata, I don't care, whether it's any kind of relationship with money, business, if you don't have a strong foundation in who you are and why you live each and every day, and you don't have intentional understanding, and like your podcast, if you don't have attention and focus on the present, right here, right now, every single moment, then what the hell are you doing? You're going nowhere really fast, nowhere. And then you look in the mirror and it's been 10 years and you're still doing the same thing, which is actually something that I do want to say. I did say this to someone. I asked them, she said, I really want to join your program. And I said, so what's holding you back? She said, well, I'm afraid. I said, what are you afraid of? Well, I'm just afraid of change. I was like, let me ask you a question. If you were to look at yourself, and I asked how old she was, she said she's 26. I said, so 36-year-old you comes up to you and tells you, hey girl, guess what? You are exactly the same as you are right now. This is what you have to look forward to. How would you feel? And she said, I feel like a failure. And I said, so why is it that your fear of the unknown is scarier than the idea of possibly, potentially not being able to handle it? It's because we're comfortable. We sit in the comfort. We sit in what we know. But what we don't know is that we don't know a lot of stuff. We hold ourselves in a box and say, I'm an introvert. I'm an extrovert. I'm an artist. I'm not this way. I'm not a cook. And you limit your potential and you limit the beliefs that you have for yourself because you don't have a true relationship with yourself because you can't be honest, real, and raw.
Yeah. Well, a lot of those things, is even I've discovered from my entrepreneur journey, a lot of those things are excuses for not wanting to be uncomfortable. And of course, through this full transformation, a lot of people would be thinking, because I can't relate on this one because you've got kids and kids are a big part of the life. So you've raised your 3 kids through this whole transformation. What does that look like now? Because there'll be a lot of entrepreneurs that'll be listening and they'll be going, I've got this chaos in my life and I am raising the kids as well.
Well, honestly, it's looking at it, instead of saying it's all chaos, it's looking at it as this is just experiences in my life. When you look at it like that, it takes away the power of that anxiety associated with the thought of chaos. Yeah. Because then you sit there, I'm a mom that has 3 kids that now one is on honor roll, one just performed in a play, another, they're all 3 off meds, and my youngest was on 5 meds, but he's still working things out. But because I can have that relationship with myself, it just, you can disassociate in a sense where you can sit there, you can take your feelings out of it and look at him as another version of yourself, essentially. You can look at him and say, you know what? You're struggling. You don't get defensive. You don't get argumentative. You don't say that's just how he is, because you know the potential because you've experienced it yourself. And that is what I live every day. That's why I'm in school for my 4th degree. I have a podcast that I built myself. I learned how to work on technology, social media, marketing. I do all of it myself. And I know you can understand how crazy that can be. And my fiance has 3 kids, so we have 6 kids. We're buying a home.
Brady Bunch.
We're going to have an orchard. Yeah, we are the Brady Bunch, and the last name is Bunton, so we're the Bunton Bunch. You know, my fiance tells me, yeah, my fiance tells me all the time. He's like, you know, all we need is a maid, and we can for real be the Bunton Bunch.
Well,
but it's living each and every day with everything. You know, it's when you sit there and you stop looking at everything in your life as chores, and you can sit there and say, I can go hang out with my kids and I can use it to learn. And I can sit there and I can learn each and every day. And the moment we stop learning is the moment that we stop growing.
Yeah.
And that's the moment that we stop blossoming and seeing our unlimited potential.
Well, yeah. Well, from the story you told from your daughter giving you a hard time to now, it really reflects that your kids are a reflection of you, and because now you're achieving everything and you've got everything in line. So it's yeah. Because well, my next question was around parenting differently from doing that inner work, but that's really the reflection of what you've just said, that they've benefited and they've become better. And I think that seems to be, because I do talk to people that have kids, and I can understand what they're going through to an extent. Although I've only got my dog, who's like my son, as I told you at the start of when we were chatting before. But essentially, it is that challenge, and when you're doing better, they're doing better, and I think that's
Yeah.
yeah.
A dysregulated parent cannot regulate a dysregulated child, right? If you're dysregulated, how the hell are you going to regulate anyone or anything else? But the more that you're regulated, the more you are able to not control the kids, because you would never want to be controlled, right? So you get to see things from different perspectives and realize that there's billions of people on the world. So why are you going to sit there and tell your child that they have to believe what you believe? Why do you have to sit there and tell anybody they have to believe what you believe? It's a control, and it's all based on insecurities and loss of confidence in your own abilities. So then you project it onto your kids and you try to micromanage their life, and you're trying to fight their battles. And, oh, that girl said that to you. That boy broke your heart. I'm going to go fight them. That's cool. How's that working out for you?
Yeah. So it's onto sort of the confidence end of things.
Yeah.
So healing your relationships, and so how does so you start to rebuild confidence in that healing of your relationships? Is that so? Where would people start in that sense?
So I go based off of my 4 C's. So it's let's see for this shit. That is the number one thing that I say to all my members. And it is confidence, connection, communication, and consistency. They are all important, but the confidence is where it starts. Because if you can have confidence in who you are, then communication comes easier. You want to do it on a consistent basis, and you want to feel connected to conversations, to people. You want to communicate in a way that you can feel that connection get stronger, and you can feel so intimately and emotionally connected to them that they could even say the worst things to you, and you have the confidence in who you are. The only way to get that confidence is to accept all parts of you. And the only way you can accept all parts of you is to continually date yourself. If you are not dating yourself, you don't even know what you're doing. You cannot sit there and tell a man to grab your butt if you can't grab your butt. You can't sit there and say, tell a man, why don't you tell me I'm beautiful anymore, when you can't even look in the mirror without showing all the things in your mind of all the things that are defective in your mind. Even celebrities do it. They have so many insecurities. That's why they do drugs, and that's why they did, they're sexaholics. What is that called? Sex addicts.
Yeah, we won't talk about Diddy at the moment. He's a good example of somebody that's obviously overcompensated in his life and right down it, because it's unfulfilled is really the thing, and I think
it's leaving parts of yourself. So imagine a glass, right? Or a vase, rather. Yeah. And that's you. And you have pieces of the glass that's fallen that you're like, that doesn't suit me anymore. Oh, I actually don't like that I was abused. So I'm going to leave that part of me to the side. Oh, I was broken. My heart was broken. So I'm just going to leave that part of me to the side. Right. And then you have all these programs that are like, look forward and don't look at your past and don't do this. And what are you doing? You're trying to fill this vase. What happens when you have a vase that has all these holes in it? It's not going to fill. You're never going to feel full. The only way that you can feel full with yourself is when you can take each and every part of who you are and accept that it's there. You understand that it's there, and then you can work on it and adjust it to meet the person that you are now.
Yeah. Well, it's I can say from an entrepreneurial sense that because people think that sometimes they've done too little, or because you actually came to these realizations towards your 30s,
Yeah.
really, which some people think is older. I'm in my 30s now. I don't think it's too late for me to do anything, and I actually think that a lot of the lessons that I've learned has prepped me for the future, especially from what you've said. But what do you say to people that think it's too late? Because you've probably got clients in their 40s, 50s, in
Well,
there.
I'm almost 40, so
Oh,
I'll be 38 this year. And what I tell everyone, and I say it almost on the end of every podcast, is you have time for change until you're dead.
yeah,
Until you are dead. I don't care if you are in prison. I don't care if you are on the streets. I don't care if you just got abused or you just got misused or your heart was broken or you became bankrupt and lost all your money. I don't care what the circumstance is because you are in control of one thing, yourself. And you are in control of how you react to what is thrown at you. So, regardless of what's thrown at me, I told you before we started that I was attacked at Walmart.
yes,
I was building my program, my 8-week real raw relationship reset. I was building that while I was attacked. And I had to sit there. That's why I started doing therapy again, because I realized it's okay to not be okay, but I have to keep going because the moment that you stop because of something else, the moment you are telling them that they get to choose your future and you are giving everybody else the power.
yes. No, that's perfect answer for that one. It's yeah, because you definitely because I know that because life happens when you're busy living as well, and that's where people
Yeah.
don't people use well they're back to the excuse stages that you spoke about at the start. They're back to saying I'm not there because of like the Rocky speech. I think we all love the Rocky speech. You started pointing fingers saying that you're not where you want to be because of them, because of what they said,
Oh,
or
I'm busy.
yes,
Yeah.
I'm busy. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
it's perfect. Well, it's. Uh, Tell us about your real world relationships for your business.
So,
Who's it for, and what kind of coaching do you offer?
so I am, as you said at the beginning, I am a no BS relationship coach. So I am like nothing you can really find out there. I know this because I've been told this by numerous people in numerous areas, countries, states, everywhere.
Yeah.
I get to the bottom. So when you sit there and you look at something, I sit there and I say, no, that's not good enough. You have to go deeper. And once you go deeper, I'm like, wonderful. Let's peel another layer of the onion, right? But what I do is I call you on your BS. So I don't sit there and sugarcoat. I don't sit there and tell you what you want to hear because then I can make more money. I don't give a shit about the money. I do this because I know that there are people out there that were just like me, that felt like no matter what they did, nothing was right. No matter what they did, everything, they were always drawing the short end of the straw. They were always getting the worst luck. They were always picking the emotionally unavailable men, but they weren't emotionally available. And if you say that you're emotionally available and you're calling somebody else emotionally unavailable, you're emotionally unavailable. So stop lying to yourself. So that's exactly what I do is I say it to their face because I have no filter. I don't care if you want to be my friend. I do it because I believe in change. And the only way to have change is to get comfortable getting uncomfortable. The moment that you sit there and you say that you're comfortable with being the way you are is the moment that I say you need to worry about yourself. So in my 8-week, I have an 8-week real and raw relationship reset. Now, as of right now, it's only for women. Generally all my members have children. That's not a deal breaker. Literally, it is for anyone that is ready to get real and raw about why everything is wrong in their life, why they feel like they have this foggy brain, why they're not able to focus. These are all things that we sit there and we say, oh, I'm burnt out. Oh, I'm just tired. It's all BS. because you don't want to deal with who you are. You don't want to deal with what happened to you as a child because you don't think it's that important. So I get you to give a crap about you. And I go through, it's 8 weeks of transformation. So the first 4 weeks is all about breaking all those walls down. And then the second 4 weeks, the last 4 weeks is all about rebuilding by adding every part of you. So it's a very intense program. It's 3 videos per week. So it's a total of 24 videos. And I did hundreds of interviews with just everyday women, hundreds of questionnaires that I had them fill out about what are the most important things, what are the least important things. And then I got to look at all of them because I got to call them on their BS as well. And I took everything and all my research and all my schooling and all of my own personal experiences, and I created this program. Each video is 15 pages that I wrote myself. And so we're talking about 300 pages of content that is deeply researched that I use to really get to the core of why you need to find yourself. And it took one of my ladies a year before she was like, I finally get it. I do need to work on my confidence. And that is the number one thing that I was struggling with. And mind you, this woman took a year. Okay. So it doesn't matter where they're at. That's what this program is for.
Very
And I've
self-paced.
had men wanting to join it too. Yeah, it's very self-paced. It's all recorded videos so they can watch it whenever they have time, wherever they have time, preferably not at work, because girls have tried that and they're like, I almost had a meltdown. Don't do that. Don't do that. So that's what I do. And then I do one-on-one coaching with them during the program.
Yeah. So when the ladies watching or listening are ready to take 100% accountability of their life, where can they find it? Where's the
yeah. So I usually just tell people to go to my realrawrelationships.com website.
Yes, we'll make sure
On
it's
there
in the
you can
comments.
find.
Yes, in the,
Yeah, definitely. And my blog, you'll find my blog on the website. You'll find my YouTube podcast on there. You can also find me on Apple, Spotify, at Real and Raw Relationships Unfiltered. That's the name of my podcast. And my YouTube videos, I do video YouTubes so that I can look you in the eye while I call you on your BS. So that's where you can find me. I have Facebook, I have Instagram, all Real Raw Relationships.
Yep, very
and
easy
TikTok.
to find across all the socials. Make sure everyone's jumping on to follow Angela right now. And we're going to hit the signature question part of the interview that we ask every single person that comes on to attention as a currency. So, Angela, if attention is the currency, what's one thing you believe people should be paying way more attention to in themselves, their relationships, or their healing?
The lies that they tell themselves. The lies that they tell themselves. If you pay more attention to what the reality is instead of what you think it is, that is where real change can happen. When you start looking at it and you say, actually, where could I be wrong? That's the hardest question that anybody will ever ask themselves. And if you can pay attention to where you could be wrong in a situation without shaming, blaming, throwing yourself into the shadow pit, if you can do that, that is where true change can happen.
That's perfect. Thank you, Angela. That was a great answer and we'll make sure that's on the main reel, because it's where the attention goes, the energy flows, and that's an important part of making your life better. But Angela, thank you for showing us that truth doesn't have to be brutal; it just has to be real. To everyone listening, if you're tired of your own excuses, if your relationships are chaos and your identity feels lost, Angela won't coddle you, but she will help you rebuild. Go to rawrelationships.com, connect, and get the truth you've been avoiding, because attention is a currency and nothing is more expensive than the lies we keep living. Thank you, Angela.
Thank you.